So that's a little bit about Vesak. I wanted to do a little bit of chanting to welcome you all. And this chanting that I'll be doing is the praise, the homage to the Buddha, the Namo Tassa, which is something that we find in a lot of Buddhist traditions, which is something that begins many Buddhist ceremonies. And then I'll talk about the going to refuge to the Buddha, our teacher, the Dharma, his teaching, and the Sangha, the community of enlightened beings who have realized the Buddha's teachings for themselves. And after that, I'll recite the Bhuddhanussati, the recollection of the qualities of the Buddha. So this is one way that it's common to celebrate Vesak, is to go through the 9 qualities of the Buddha. So I'll do that very briefly. And after that, I'm going to offer a meditation called Bhuddhanussati. And I'll talk about that then. So some of you will know the words to the chanting I'm about to do. I know that joining in on Zoom sometimes is not very good because everyone's speakers cut in. So chant along if you want, like at home, and I'll do the chanting here at my end. So I'm going to do it in the ancient language of Pali, the language spoken of the Buddha, and also a little bit in English as well. So you can close your eyes and bring to mind your experience of the Buddha, who he is to you, who this being was for you. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammāsambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammāsambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sammāsambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. To the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for refuge I go. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Dutiyampi sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. For a second time, I go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi dhammāṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. Tatiyampi sanghaṃ saraṇaṃ gacchāmi. For a third time, I go to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for refuge. And I'll recite the Itipi so, and I'll recite these 9 qualities of the Buddha, and I'll translate them as we go. I'm using Bhante Sujato's translation, so I have to read this because it's slightly different to the version in English that I usually chant. Itipi so bhagavā. That blessed one is arahaṃ, perfected, sammāsambuddho, a fully awakened Buddha, vijjācaraṇasampanno, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, sugato, holy, lokavidū, knower of worlds, anuttaro purisadammasārathi, supreme guide for those who wish to be trained. Satthā devamanussānaṃ, teacher of gods and humans. Buddho, awakened. Bhagavā'ti, blessed. So this chanting that many of you perhaps have heard before, the Itipi, is the Bhuddhanussati, the recollection of the 9 qualities of the Buddha. So I'll just go through them again. Perfected, fully awakened Buddha, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, holy, knower of the worlds, supreme guide for those who wish to train, teacher of gods and humans, awakened, and blessed. So these are the qualities of our teacher, the Buddha. And this Bhuddhanussati is a very useful practice for us to do. It's a practice that gives rise to satthā, faith, confidence, conviction. And so throughout the centuries, people have recited these verses and have contemplated the qualities of the Buddha. There's many different ways for you to do this practice of Bhuddhanussati. You can sit and reflect upon each individual quality of the Buddha, those 9 qualities. Sometimes in some traditions, you'll hear you breathe in saying Bud, breathe out saying Do, Buddho, Buddho. This is like an abbreviated form of the Bhuddhanussati. And you need to know the meaning of the words, you need to understand the various translations and things like that. So sometimes instead of arising this beautiful emotion of faith and confidence, it ends up becoming a bit of an intellectual activity instead. So tonight, for our guided meditation, I thought instead of going through these 9 qualities of the Buddha, which I would encourage you to do another time and really get to know these 9 qualities and what they mean and why they're inspiring, why they should give rise to a lot of joy in our heart. Instead of doing that tonight, I thought I'd offer a very simple meditation, which is a bit more emotional. And it's a meditation where we go back in time and where we meet the Buddha and we are in the presence of the Buddha. Sometimes 2,500 years feels like a very long time. We're so fortunate to have access to the Buddha's teachings, with so many different traditions, access to good dharma, good meditation. But to really get inspired about our path, it really does help to connect with our teacher somehow, in some way that gives rise to a sense of gratitude for these teachings existing in this world that benefit us and have benefited so many beings throughout the history of Buddhism. And that gratitude for these teachings gives rise to a great feeling of care and profound sense of spiritual joy to have access to these teachings. And we're touched by the compassion of the Buddha for sharing them with us so that we too can come out of suffering. And so for the next few minutes, just a short 10-minute meditation, we're going to close our eyes and we're going to travel back in time and we're going to meet the Buddha. So I invite you now just to find a comfortable posture and allow yourself to relax and feel good. Time to let go of all those things that we've been doing today. Let go of all your busyness, your activities. Let go of all your stress, problems, worries. The next few minutes, allow yourself to be here, not worried about the past or future. To be here, to be now, to be present. And so now imagine yourself able to travel back through time, all the way back to ancient India. Two and a half thousand years ago, the time of the Buddha. And we're walking down a path in the forest. It's cool and shady. And we've heard that in this forest there is a great teacher known as the Buddha, the enlightened one. We've heard his teachings help living beings, that he is wise, full of love and compassion. And there's something that draws us to this person, something we're curious about, want to learn more. And so we're walking down this path that leads deeper and deeper into the forest. And then off in the distance there, we see a solitary figure seated beneath a great tree. still and silent, deep in meditation. We walk closer and we sit down and bow out of respect. There's something profound about this stillness, something wonderful, a feeling of peace comes over you. You feel calm, tranquil, at ease. You feel the love and compassion from this being. You sit there, meditating, bathed in this love, this compassion. This stillness, this wisdom that you can feel. And it makes you happy. Happy to just be there, quiet, peaceful. And you understand why people have said of this man that he is perfected, fully awakened, that he is accomplished in knowledge and wisdom, that he is holy and knower of the world, that he is a supreme guide for those who wish to be trained, a teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. being with so many good qualities, inspiring qualities. And so reflecting now on something you have learned from the Buddha, a teaching, meditation technique, some words of wisdom, something that matters to you, something you have learned from the Buddha that has helped you in your life. How wonderful it is that this wisdom from the Buddha has somehow come down through history, across the globe, to you. This teaching has changed your life somehow, helped you. How amazing that is. How fortunate for you. And so sitting here in the presence of the Buddha in the forest, you feel a sense of gratitude. Thank you for these teachings. Thank you for sharing wisdom out of love and compassion for all beings. That gratitude becomes joy. You're lucky. You're fortunate. There's a happiness inside you, nourished by our teacher. And there's nothing else to be done. You've got no questions left. You feel good. And so, leaving the Buddha in peace to meditate, you bow down in homage to this wise, kind teacher. And you get up and you walk quietly and softly back to the forest, back through time, back here now to the place you're in. with a renewed sense of gratitude and confidence in the teachings of the Buddha, an emotional connection that nourishes a sense of joy and happiness in your heart. And a connection to countless living beings who, just like you, have heard these teachings and benefited. You're part of a big Buddhist community. And you belong. You're loved. You're making progress on your spiritual journey. And so now, just a very short session tonight, you can relax and arise from your contemplation and come back to the space that you're in, and when you're ready, opening your eyes. So this is a practice, Bhuddhanussati, a bit of a different way of practicing perhaps, but something that I hope nourishes that emotional connection with the Buddha, our teacher. Something that a lot of contemporary meditation and various schools of practice, especially in the West, don't often emphasize, this sense of faith, that emotional connection to our teacher and the conviction in the path that he taught, which is a very beautiful way to deepen your understanding of our spiritual journey. And this confidence is a really important part of making progress on the spiritual path. So contemplating the Buddha is said to give rise to a lot of positive emotions, joy, happiness, rapture, and leads towards wisdom. And so this is why I wanted to share that practice with you today, especially on this occasion of Vesak, or close enough to it. So I hope it'll be of some benefit to you now or in the future.